Okay, so challenge number 2 with expanding double brackets is where there are more than 2 terms in a bracket. And what I mean by that, this is a term, this is a term, and this is a term. So here's an example where there are 3 terms in this bracket. I've said this is unlikely in foundation, and it's usually just going to be a skill you might use in the higher paper. This is where I think grid method actually becomes really, really useful. Of course, you can do the non-grid method. You can multiply everything in the first bracket and everything in the second bracket. But because we have 2 things in here and 3 things in here, we will actually have 6 things when we multiply them all together. So I'm going to actually do this one, the first one with the grid, and then maybe the second one without the grid. So for the grid method, I would start off with, this time I'm going to need 3 sections along the top, and I'm going to need 2 sections along the side. So along the top, I'm going to put my x squared, my 2x, and my minus 4. And along the side, I'm going to put the x and the minus 3, and I'm going to multiply all of these things together. Now, x times x squared is x cubed, and I'm going across the page here. 2x times x is 2x squared, and minus 4 times x is minus 4x. Now, I'm going to multiply by minus 3, so I get minus 3x squared. I then get minus 6x, and I get plus 12. Now, the grid kind of helps us to spot that this one and this one can be simplified, and then this one and this one can be simplified, and that one can't be simplified, so they're just going to stay there. So when I expand the brackets, I'm going to write out these things. I'm going to say that I've got the x cubed, but 2x squared minus 3x squared, 2 minus 3 is just minus 1, but I'm going to write it as minus x squared. And then I've got minus 6x minus 4. Minus 6 minus 4 is minus 10, so we get minus 10x. And then I've got that plus 12 that we've got here. So do you remember I said, because there were 2 and 3 things, we were going to get 6 things. And then that simplifies down to 4. And this is no longer a quadratic. This is something that is called a cubic, because we have a cube term here. So I did the grid method for that first one. This one I'm just going to do the writing all of the terms out. So I'm going to do the y times y squared, that's y cubed. Y times minus 2y is minus 2y squared. And y times minus 3 is minus 3y. I'll then do the 2 times y squared, which is plus 2y squared. Now sometimes I like to write it underneath there because I know it's then in the right place. But I'm just, for this sake, I'm just going to write it out in a long list. So I get plus 2y squared. 2 times minus 2y is minus 4y, and then 2 times minus 3 is minus 6. Now I like the grid method because it was easy to see these ones cancelling with each other, but here you have to be careful that this one and this one, not cancelling, sorry, but simplifying, those 2 are going to simplify, and then these 2 are going to simplify. And then the y cubed and the minus 6 are just going to stay the same. So I get the y cubed. These 2, minus 2y squared plus 2y squared, they're just going to completely cancel out and not get written. I then get minus 7y and minus 6. So there were 6 things here, and it fully simplified down to these 3 because those 2 cancelled. So I want you to have a go. Decide whether you like just doing the same method here or whether you like doing the grid method. I'm going to decide which one I prefer in the next part of this. So here they are, 2 questions. See if you get the same answers as me. Okay, so let's expand and simplify this. I'm probably actually going to do the grid method. I really like the grid method once we get to more than 2. And it doesn't have to be very neat at all. So let's do those 3 sections. So I'm going to put along the bottom my a and my minus 3, my a squared, my 4a, and my 1. So I'm going to times them all by a. So it's going to be a cubed, 4a squared, and 1a, which is just a. And then multiply by minus 3. That's minus 3a squared, minus 12a. And I've written minus 3 here. I forgot to change to red, but it doesn't really matter. Now this part and this part will simplify, and then this part and this part will simplify. So that means it is going to be the a cubed that I have here. I've then got the 4a squared minus 3a squared. That's just plus a squared or plus 1a squared, but we wouldn't write that. A minus 12a is minus 11a. And then at the end, I have the minus 3. So the grid can be a really helpful way of organising the information. I'm also going to do the grid method for this one. You could do it with the n squared, the 2n, and the minus 4 down the side. Let's show you that you can do that in a different way. And then along the top, we'll have the n and the minus 3. So n squared times n, I'll remember to go to red this time, is n cubed. N squared times minus 3 is minus 3n squared. 2n times n, that's 2n squared. and you get minus 6n, minus 4n, and plus 12. The ones that are going to simplify the n squared and the n squared, and the minus 4n and the minus 6n. So let's put that all together. We have the n cubed, we get minus n squared, we get minus 10n, and we get plus 12. Okay, so I am in the last video going to do a challenge where there are 3 terms per bracket. Found this video helpful? Then why not drop it a like and consider subscribing to my channel. If you'd like the next video in the playlist, you can click here to be taken straight to it. And as always, wishing you the very best for all your studies.